Okay, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, all the higher praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasum, Yahweh Shai, Bahasum, Rekrak with us. And, excuse me there, Khan. The honors to the elders and honors to the apostles, preach and teaching the word of truth. And with sincerity as always. Without any further ado, I just want to get into this lesson here and going into so I want to play this clip for y'all. This was 9 months ago, but
63%
fits perfectly with what I want to speak on. The title is from CNBC. It's titled "Why Americans Are Being Pushed into Poverty." This was published on February 6, 2025, way earlier in this year. It says 37.9 million Americans are currently living in poverty, accounting for 11.6% of the total population. That's despite the fact that America ranks first as the richest nation in the world in terms of GDP. Child poverty alone is estimated to cost the U.S. over $1 trillion based on the latest research.
workers say they wouldn't be able to cover a $500 emergency expense.
Most people don't have $1,000 in the bank. Most people cannot handle a tire blowout or they're going to put it on credit.
Americans now carry more than $1 trillion in credit card debt.
The official poverty measure in the U.S. today is based on calculations from the mid-1960s.
It's also a system that is pervasive in actually creating poverty situations.
Poverty leads to more anxiety, it leads to more stress, it leads to more health problems.
37.9 million. That's the number of Americans currently living in poverty, accounting for 11.6% of the total population. That's despite the fact that America ranks first as the richest nation in the world in terms of GDP.
The United States is known for having this great abundance, and at the same time, alongside that abundance, there is widespread poverty and economic insecurity.
Sometimes you question, we're in the United States of America. How can the citizens be going through such a issue? We always boast that we're a superpower, that we are the richest in the world, and things just don't make sense.
Poverty in the U.S. had been steadily improving over the past decade. From a height of 48.8 million people living in poverty in 2013 to 34 million in 2019. That was until the pandemic changed its course.
COVID absolutely had a very deep impact on the access to employment and long-term employment for a number of families that were already vulnerable for various reasons.
Prior, it was myself and my two older brothers, along with my stepdad, that constantly worked to provide for everyone in the house. But after COVID-19 and the whole lockdown, we were laid off. And ever since then, we have had issues finding a job.
Poverty is expensive. About 11% of the federal budget, or $665 billion, goes to economic security programs. Child poverty alone is estimated to cost the U.S. over $1 trillion, based on the latest research from 2018.
There are also really high costs on an individual level. Poverty leads to more anxiety, it leads to more stress, it leads to more health problems, all kinds of things that amplify the effect of poverty.
The feelings that you would usually encounter when you're in this position is mostly depression. Why can't I find a job? Why are we in this situation? We're trying our best, and sometimes it's just falling back down on our face.
So how did poverty become such a big issue in the United States? And why is it so difficult to end it? Income inequality is one of the big reasons why the U.S. suffers from such high rates of poverty. The income for the top 10% was more than 13 times higher than income at the bottom 10%, according to the U.S. Census.
We, unfortunately, in the United States are at the very high end in terms of income inequality. And so what happens is, when the distance gets further and further away, the rungs on the ladder get further away, and it's harder for people to climb those rungs out of poverty into the middle and to the upper class.
The pandemic has made inequality.
And so that's why the scriptures say this ain't unrest. Okay, as you're seeing there in that video. It's Micah 2:10. Basic scripture here, Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword of destruction come. And so as we see in the video here, it's a Jake struggling, a Jake there speaking about that situation with the economy and I just believe it's I know Edomites may be going through shit, but it's mainly our people, the Israelites, that go through these more serious problems, troubles. It's based off the prophecy, and what the prophecy says is Jacob. That's prophecy we're in right now, that Jacob will be low on the bottom, struggling as a people, as a nation, mentally, and other various sectors, and every single thing, really. More than often, as a nation. So that's the point there. And yeah, it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword of destruction. Play a bit more of this here. And ultimately, this is going to get ready to happen to everybody. More Americans are being put into poverty, the title of the video is. So that's going into Isaiah 47. The glory of what America used to be is going down. So America is prophesied in scriptures to be destroyed in Revelation 17 and 16. And to start all that, the beginning of that starts with America's economy going to shit, going on to the lowest, the bottom. Chaos, destruction, as well is prophesied to come shortly, in a year or 2 years, 3 years at the most. These things are going to become third woe. Isaiah 47 and 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. This is America, the virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. And that's what's happening right now. This video here, it's referenced in the video. The video there is all going into scripture I just read just now, Isaiah 41 and 7. Thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Gone. 2. Take the millstones and grind meal, and cover thy locks, and make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. That thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen, and that's going to be the shame of America. Its economy going to shit, people going ape shit for the loss of jobs, not having the money, or a stable society. Things that they're comfortable with, they were with. Once society used to still be running, and it still is running, but I'm just saying, on one day that's going to happen. They're going to say that, yea, thy shame shall be seen, I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. The Lord ain't going to meet America, Babylon, as a man.
the worse. The Gini Index, which measures the nation's income inequality, rose for the first time in a decade by 1.2% in 2021.
The reason the pandemic has made that worse is because when you talk to large organizations, corporations, what they saw was that staff was leaving, but they had a response to that, right? Their response was, let's give bonuses, let's give raises. Many organizations, many small businesses, government, they don't have that luxury. So inflation has kept up with the money that most people in the 1% have made, but it has deepened and widened the gap between those that have money and those that do not.
Research by MIT estimates that the living wage in the United States is $24.16 per hour for a family of 4. But the federal minimum wage is set at $7.25 per hour. This means that a typical family of 4 needs to work more than 2 full-time minimum wage jobs to earn a living wage. And single-parent families need to work significantly harder.
We worked at a banquet hall. Any sort of party, we would set it up, come early, set the tables, dishes, plates, silverware, everything, you name it. We worked for $15 an hour. It was really bad. I would say we were really overworked, 13-hour shifts sometimes. We were really frustrated with where we were, but at the same time, it was like, what do we do if we leave? You know, we were at that stage of like, yeah, we hate this job, but we have to keep it to continue going.
Problems with wages are especially worse for workers of certain races.
And if we're looking at the broader population of people who are poor or low income, meaning one emergency away from being poor, we're talking about approximately 140 million people. Out of the 140 million, well over 70 million people, well over half of that population are people of color.
The U.S. also suffers from a lack of social safety.
Out of the 140 million, well over 70 million people, well over half of that population of people who are poor or low income, meaning one emergency away from being poor, we're talking about approximately 140 million people. Out of the 140 million, well over 70 million people, well over half of that population are people of color. Are poor or low income, meaning one emergency away from being poor, we're talking about approximately 140 million people. Out of the 140 million, well over 70 million people, well over...
And I got to pause there since it's speaking about prophecy here. She said, of the people living in poverty in America, I think they say America's population is 340 million people. They say about 140 million people are in poverty here in America. Out of the 340 million, 140 million are living in that poverty line, class, lower poverty class. Meaning just barely getting by, like really just barely getting by, and probably not a car, just a house and not too much food. She said out of that 140 million, it's she said over half that percentage are Jake's Israelites. So this ain't what I wanted to speak on, but since it came up, might as well use it for edification's sake. This is Deuteronomy 28 in verse, just to show you the curses once again where we are in as the Israelites, as God's people, which 1/3 will be saved from that remnant. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 28 verse 18. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body. I start at 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. And that's what you had with that Jake there. The facts that she just gave you right there, the numbers there. Over 70 million of that number, 140 million living in poverty. Over 70 million of that, meaning half that are people of color, meaning people, Israelites, Jakes. And that could just be Judah. It's not even, maybe not even counting the Latinos. on those statistics she's speaking about there. Yeah, because you really don't see much Edomites or Ishmaelites, Moabites out here struggling like that. You really just don't. You just don't. Okay, they don't pertain to the curses right now. They're not in the curses right now, even though they may not be as rich as their rulers, their kings of the heathens. Talking about the heathens, continuing on in the video anyway. Yeah.
For half of that population are people of color.
The U.S. also suffers from a lack of social safety nets that protect Americans from poverty.
If you look at, for example, the amount of cash that people might get if they're low income, it's very, very minimal.
Right now, we receive welfare, and it's roughly around $250 for my household of 7. And it actually has helped us a lot. Sometimes the numbers really don't make sense, because how can a large family just live off a couple $100, especially now in this day and age where you go to the grocery store, you spend in a few items $100.
Most countries, for example, European countries, have what's known as a child allowance, where if you have a child, you get a certain amount of monthly income to help raise that child. That's pretty common, but in the United States, we don't have anything like that. And in the United States, we don't have universal benefits, for example, health care or child care.
It's also a system that many times is pervasive in actually creating poverty.
Mental, emotional reason, realistic.
So that's the point on that, basically, just going into that and how more of that's going to come, basically. You already had this happen. I can't find it, but weeks ago you had the whole thing with the Snap coming back on, and they were talking about how Snap's going to... They're gonna have new requirements for that, and it's gonna be the requirements for that is not many people fit those requirements. So that's all. Once again, Trump coming down with a great wrath. It's devil coming down with great wrath. Here in Isaiah 19. Verse 4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, says the Lord of hosts. God. And that's what's going to happen. That's what is happening right now with this whole economy and things are still running, but it's gonna get worse. So that was just to give you an idea there for you hopeful elect out there, give you an idea of what's coming soon. Because that's what this is 2 Ezra 6 verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Gone. Try it in the Common English Bible, CEV version, 2 Ezra 6 and 22. Fields that were not sown will suddenly appear sown. And full warehouses will suddenly be found empty, meaning there's not going to be any foods in the fields or in stores, the storehouses. Because I have this to back me up. This article came out earlier this month. Today's barely December 3rd. The title of this one is Black Friday Spending Raises Eyebrows Over U.S. Economy. This data for Thanksgiving weekend shows customers shop at encouraging levels, but underlying details about spending patterns suggest this may not have been the economic boom. I think it's supposed to say boom the administration believes. According to Adobe Analytics, U.S. consumers spent $6.4 billion on Thanksgiving Day and $11.8 billion online on Black Friday. Both record highs and up significantly compared to last year, but Salesforce data cited by Forbes found that order volume fell by about 1% year over year, while average selling prices were up 7%, indicating that much of the growth was caused by inflation rather than any uptick in shopping enthusiasm. Why it matters: consumer spending accounts for about 2/3 of economic activity. And the holiday season has been considered a particularly important barometer of how financially stressed shoppers are navigating the current economic climate. The White House has already pointed to Black Friday sales figures as demonstrating that the American consumer is in good health in late 2025, but others see signs that weak consumer confidence and a collection of financial headwinds are taking their toll despite an overall jump in spending. And so that's the point there. So they might have seen some good statistics on how much people spent on Black Friday online compared to on Thanksgiving Day, and it says both records high, and was up significantly compared to last year. But they also said here, once again, I'll read it again in this paragraph here because it was edifying. But Salesforce data cited by Forbes found that order volume fell by about 1% year over year, while average selling prices were up 7%, indicating that much of the growth was caused by inflation rather than any uptick in shopping enthusiasm. So just wanted to get that article going back to Second Edges 6:22. There's 4 storehouses suddenly being found empty. Revelation 6. Revelation 6:6. So, and I heard in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou heard not the oil and the wine. God. Yeah, that's going into the famine, the black horse of that Revelation, what we just got there. 2 Edges 13, verse 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And this is what's going to happen. People are going to be fighting each other. For the last bread. 2 Edges 15 and 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation come. So it's there in Revelation 6 and 6, I think that was Revelation, 2 Edges 13 and 31, and here 2 Edges 15, 19. So these things are prophesied that it's going to come. A famine or economic collapse. It's not even something we're guessing or anything. Just like Just as Revelation 13 and 15 to 19 is specific and telling you that it's going to be a microchip and that it's going to be a mark, and they're coming out with a microchip, and they're telling you won't be able to buy and sell without this eventually. They're already conditioning people through gradualism, the higher elites, to take this if you're going to buy and sell. Show your ID because it's convenient. Just because it's faster, quicker, faster. All these things. Open your door, your car, your house, doors, garages, whatever of that in your job. And it's no coincidence Revelation 13 says it's going to be a literal mark where you're going to stab in your hand or your forehead and get. It's no coincidence you got Elon Musk talking about Neuralink. It's all because it's the Lord's Spirit running and controlling these elites to do these things. And just like it says that specific prophecy is going to happen in that way, it's also mentioning how these specific prophecies are going to come in this way. An economic collapse where people fight each other for the last bread. 2nd Ezra 6 and 22, once again, the full house storehouses, your Walmarts being found empty. That's going to happen in that order. So literally, those scriptures are literally here. Yeah, Revelation 6 is a black horse, but it's not a literal black horse. But it's what the literal black horse literally represents, a famine. That's what it's representing. That's what's going to come. And so I got to get this one as well. This came out very recently, too. Mid last month, November. There would be November 14. Today is December the 3rd. Sorry for the interruption there. I move that one out the way. Got to move that one out the way. Anyway, the title here of this says, Solving Hunger is America's Lowest Hanging Fruit. Yeah, come on. The photo there. People carrying bags of groceries during a free food distribution for recipients of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Gone. November 9th, 2025. This was recent. Not a full month ago was this published. Not a full month ago was this published. Let's read some of it though. It says, "Hunger sadly is as American as apple pie." Hunger sadly is as American as American as apple pie. Wow, that's you would have never heard that 10 years from now, 10 years ago from today. People still had that hopes. People still had those dreams. People still had those aspirations to keep working their job and get paid time off and go on vacation over here, over there, this state, wherever. And that hope is now vanquishing away because this economy is doing doing shit. So this precedes me once again to Isaiah 47. So we're just speaking what the Lord's doing. I'm just speaking what the Lord's doing. We're just speaking what the Lord's doing. The Lord's doing these works, and we're speaking on them. This is Isaiah 47 and 4. It's like a 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, and sit on the ground. Sit on the ground means to lower your pride, your standards, where you were at. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. God. And yeah, that's the tender and delicateness being taken and stripped from America. It's economy doing all right, and people that live in America getting by well off with their economy. And here in America, it's vanquishing. Anyway, continuing on, it reads, "We seem to revisit each budget cycle but never resolve. With the record-breaking federal government shutdown finally over and access to a Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program at SNAP no longer entering the Supreme Court's domain, millions of Americans have been once again caught in the crossfire of political brinkmanship The country's food safety net, already in tatters, has been grievously abused. Hunger, meanwhile, has no party affiliation. As Republican Senator Josh Hawley points out in the New York Times, this isn't a fringe issue. Hunger affects every corner of American life. Nearly 90% of U.S. adults report grocery prices as a source of household stress. And roughly, so they say nearly 90% of U.S. adults report grocery prices as a source of household stress, and roughly 1 in 7 Americans experience food insecurity each year. A figure likely vastly underreported. Oh, that's a spirit. It says that's at 47 million Americans. We just got Isaiah 47 there. 47 million Americans in hunger. Isaiah 47, where it says 1. You read it before, where it says, "Thou shalt no one be called tender and delicate." Not that hard to understand. And heading into the 2026 midterms with the household food security report on indefinite pause, the true number will be unknown when a nation stops measuring a problem. It signals either indifference or unwillingness to confront it. And so that, that's the point of the article there. I don't gotta read all of this, but if you want to, you can. Start with the article. We just got that. Don't be lazy and go and look it up yourself and read it all into it. See what elect out there, elect men, especially prophets, interested in diving in more depth in the article. Anyway, and moving on. So I'm moving on. Another article here. This is. Okay. And so Conan, this is all going to lead to the mark of the beast too, and then pushing Jake to go ahead and take it. So I asked Google AI. I've been meaning to ask this question and show y'all brothers this question I asked AI here. I entitled it, "How can you gradually deceive a population into taking an RFID chip inside of them?" It's supposed to say them. It's like my spelling. My spelling is the best sometimes. Don't mind too much of that. So I'll just go back there and it reads here, AI overview. I cannot provide advice, instructions, or suggestions on how to deceive, manipulate, or coerce a population into any action, including taking an RFID chip. My purpose is to be helpful and harmless, and that includes refusing to generate content that promotes manipulation, deception, or non-consensual actions. Informed consent, ethical guidelines and laws in many regions require that individuals fully understand that they are agreeing to and have the free choice to opt in or opt out of any procedure or data collection. Privacy and autonomy. Discussions around technology like RFID chips often focus on fundamental rights to privacy, bodily autonomy, and data security. Transparency. Government bodies and organizations are expected to be transparent about the technologies they implement and the reasons for their use. I'm gonna type this in. I'm typing this. How can you trick everyone into getting a tracking device inside them to control them? Let's see what AI says. And AI gets scared here. I cannot answer this question. That's creepy. try Perplexity here. It's another AI search bot you can use instead of ChatGPT. So I typed in this on Perplexity here. It says they say here I put the same question here. They're saying using deception to implant tracking devices in people and then control them is both harmful and illegal. So guidance on how to do that cannot be provided. Why this is harmful? Secret tracking or implantation removes a person's ability to choose what happens to their own body and data, which is a core ethical line in medicine, research, and everyday life. If you are feeling a desire to control others or are worried about being tracked yourself, it may help to talk with a mental health professional or a trusted person in your life. They can help address concerns about trust, safety, and privacy in a way that respects everyone's rights. Okay, but that's hypocrisy, because that's what your wicked ass elites are actually been working on doing. So that in that sense, they should go speak to a mental physician. This is all going into Revelation 13, though. They didn't give me the answer I wanted, but basically, when I first typed that in, they also said, I think they said, through gradualism. Oh, I don't think they said that. That's just what my question has, so they mentioned it. They don't want to teach me how to gradually trick someone into taking the RFID chip inside of them to track them, to control them. So anyway, this is Revelation 13, verse 15. I like that. Sorry, I had 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast. And what is that image of the beast? Back then in the ancient Rome, it was the literal statue to Caesar, to show you and represent your allegiance unto him, to continue to shopping in the marketplaces, or you'll be kicked out of the marketplaces. In the worst case scenario, beheaded or thrown to the lions in the gladiatorium games if you were a Christian. 16. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And now in this time, it's going to be a literal mark, little tracking device, futuristic AI tracking device, whatever, or a BCI in their face, or both. I believe at some point Esau will push them to get both. Some might even get both. 17. And that no man might bow or sell, said he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. It's going to be the tracking device once again in modern day terms today. It's going to be in modern day Rome, America today. With the modern day mark, it's going to be because you have that in 3rd Maccabees, where it was an ancient mark too, where you would get a fire branded on you with the ivy leaf of Bacchus, I think it was, and the Jews would get their rights. Back then in the Ptolemaic era, the Greek era. And no man might bow or sell, if he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Come on. That's what it's going to be, the mark of the beast.